So The Last of Us video game is claimed to be one of the best, if not the best video game that has ever been released on a PS3. But its predecessor seems to leave fans very divisive. Some people love it, some people hate it. But even if you ask people who are hardcore Last of Us fans, they still think that the very first Last of Us video game is better than the sequel. Well, today I'm going to be telling you some reasons on why some of the things that were in The Last of Us 2 are actually better than what happened in The Last of Us. First thing that I want to point out are the graphics. Now, when the graphics came out in the first video game, I really liked them. Yeah, it looked like a video game still, but I thought that it was very mesmerizing. The characters felt real, the atmosphere just sounded and felt real. The music helped emphasize how real this game could actually be. And the kills and attacks that they put in this video game felt real, unlike any other video game that I have ever played. Now, with its sequel, it decided to take all of that aspect and make it 10 times better. The skin tone, the lighting, the scopes of the buildings, it seemed like this whole world was expanded and it felt and looked bigger than it was before. It felt like a real world that you can actually go out and see in real life. The kills were more gory and bloody than before. The zombies were a lot more terrifying, and they had a lot more attention to detail in terms of how the characters interacted with each other, whether it's tracking their eyes, facial expressions, mouth movements, hands and leg movements. All of them were upgraded to be better than the first game was. I love the way the first game looked no matter what, but there's no denying that the way that this game has upgraded in terms of its graphics, it's definitely better. The second thing that was better in the second game are the crafting stages and sneak attacks. The first Last of Us game was pretty simple. Whenever there's a bad guy around, you duck, hide, and then distract or sneak attack them. In this one, you can crawl around, you can actually extend how far you can throw a bomb, or lay down a trap whenever somebody feels like that there's something off. Also, inside The Last of Us 2, they create better strategies on how to actually attack your enemies in a logical sense rather than how the first game was. In the first video game, whenever you hide or duck, it felt like that it was unrealistic, that not a lot of people would be able to notice you sneak attacking somebody else and killing them when it's pretty obvious that you're noticed. But in this one, they create certain situations and good places to actually hide where people can't actually find you, and you would be able to sneak attack them in a more realistic sense. And not only that, but it's also very cool the way the sneak attacks work. I also like the different varieties that you can craft when you're trying to use an attack weapon on your enemy. In the first Last of Us game, you get a simple gun or bow and arrow, and they're basically dead. Here, you can actually mix the two together, like creating a silencer for a gun or creating a bomb arrow. I've already mentioned that before, but it's awesome. It's a bomb arrow! And not only makes the video game feel more realistic and have common sense, but it's also a lot more fun in terms of a gameplay. Next thing that I want to talk about is the AI is way better in The Last of Us 2. If there's one huge flaw that I have with the first Last of Us video game, it would be that the AI is not that good. There are so many glitches and moments where I feel like that I should have been pinned down whenever an enemy is right in front of me and they're trying to get in an attacking position, but sometimes they stay in that attacking position. And also when you have a partner and you're trying to team up with that partner and they want to take down your enemy, they don't necessarily help out that much. They would help out occasionally, but for the majority, you're doing most of the work. And sometimes there are other moments where I would get noticed when I shouldn't have been noticed, or sometimes when I get ready for my final attack, they end up dying. I mean, it's good for me that they get killed off early, but it's weird. And not only that, but when you're controlling the game, it feels a little wonky. The jump button, the punching, sometimes it feels like it shouldn't do what it's exactly doing. When you're facing an enemy, sometimes you have to face them in a certain direction in order for them to get a good hit. Sometimes you need to turn just a tiny bit to the left in order to open a door. It's so odd. It could be infuriating at times. With The Last of Us 2, you barely have that much of a problem with it. There are characters that actually do help me whenever I am being attacked, and whenever you go up and attack an enemy, you barely need to turn in a certain direction in order to get them down. It's pretty clear that the game designers actually paid a lot more attention to what the problem was in the first Last of Us video game and wanted us to have a much more better experience in gameplay. And the last thing that I'm going to mention is its expansion on the zombie universe. One of the things that made me fall in love with the first video game is that it took in the genre of zombie movies and television shows and explored it in a way that we haven't necessarily explored it before. The regular zombie genre takes in this trope of having it be in a point of view from a character's perspective and reacting to how that world looks like, and then just put in traumatizing things and then put in unnoticed circumstances or unexpected circumstances in those situations and create traumatization, and that would be the actual story that's going on. But the first Last of Us decided to take it in to a new direction where it's more political, or the outcomes of what happened and the process of what actually happened when this whole outbreak even started. It's not even like, oh, this random unexpected thing happened and now everybody's in panic mode and then this is the outcome, and then bad stuff, trauma, how bad or awful the world looks like. It decided to take it in a new direction where some people are actually used to it and they find their ways to survive. And they create these other groups who have these motivations and reasons on why they're doing what it is that they're doing, and they separate them out, and it feels like that it creates it as a new norm. And The Last of Us 2 decided to take that and expanded it even further. There's now even more groups and other people that have like different identifications in ways that they feel like they need to survive. There's these people called wolves, and they have their own motivations. There are these big religious zealots who believe in something that's for the greater good, but there's also this other religious cult, exact same identity, but have a much more toxic outcome. The Last of Us genre also has a way of identifying zombies and calling them by names, and the game designers found a way on how they created these zombies to feel like they're even more dehumanizing, even more deteriorating, and even more traumatizing. There's so much more open world exploration in this video game that it's just so much fun to even see, and it reminded me of what made that first Last of Us video game great to begin with, and I love that this video game tackled on that and wanted to explore more on that in a new direction. And I felt like that with that creative decision, it was even better than the first Last of Us video game. So that's what I have to say for this video. In terms of general thoughts on what I think between the first Last of Us video game and the second one, I love the first one more than the second one. I just want to make that clear. I think the second one is good. It has its flaws, but I do think that if people want to say that there are things in the second video game that's better than the first Last of Us video game, I can actually understand it. But what did you guys think of The Last of Us 1 and Last of Us 2? Do you actually agree with what I said? Do you disagree with what I say? Put it down in the comment box below. And like this video if you agree with what I say, or dislike this video if you disagree with what I say. I don't mind the dislikes. So that is it I have for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll be sure to see you in the next video.